Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator and the Fenix A320. Today I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a different kind of video. I saw a video which I think was originally on TikTok but has been reposted in a number of different places. I found it on Imgur, where a Russian captain is taking is doing his pre-flight checks on, I think in this case it's actually an A321 being operated by Red Wings, and he's detailing the different faults that he has on this particular aircraft, and he comments it's the most in-ops that he's ever seen on an Airbus. And of course we're all probably fairly well aware of why these kinds of issues might be coming up on Russian aircraft right now. I don't mean to make light of such a situation, of the position that pilots or passengers find themselves in these kinds of situations, but I thought it would be interesting to see if we can simulate this particular condition. Now, I've actually linked the original video below, or at least the copy that I found, if you'd like to go and take a little look at that. But I managed to make a list of the items that the captain calls out, namely that the aircraft's autopilot 1 is in-op, flight director 1 is in-op, auto brake is in-op, the brakes on wheels 1, 2 and 3 are in-op, leaving you only with number 4. The APU is in-op. 2 of the fuel pumps were in-op, I've just guessed which ones, and the first officer's PFD was in-op. So, most of this I can simulate. The only one I wasn't able to do was the flight director, but we'll simply turn the flight director off on the captain's side in order to simulate this situation. So, because we've got no APU, we're going to have to air start using the air cart, and that is the noise that you can hear in the cabin right now. I've already connected the air cart. So let's go ahead and power the aircraft on and take a little look at what this looks like in the cockpit, this particular setup. Turn on the batteries and we'll immediately connect the external power. And let's watch for the aircraft to boot up, and we'll see what kinds of warning lights we get. Oh, the other one I forgot to mention was the FMGS number 1. So actually the flight management computer on the captain's side is also out. Although these CDUs auto switch, so I'll still be able to use the left-hand control head, but the computer on my side is actually dead. So we'll let it all boot up. Interesting that the self-test still appears even though I failed that display. Let's see what actually happens. Yeah, there we go, it's gone black. Okay, so that's interesting. I don't know if maybe... I guess this is a situation that Fenix had not considered. Oh, and there we go, a bunch of bongs. And that's the warning system has come alive, and it's immediately detected a whole load of warnings. Let's clear the master caution for now, and we'll wait. Actually, the smoke detector is just it doing its self-test. That will actually disappear. But there's a bunch of other stuff that will remain. Also note that I've configured the aircraft to be as close as I can. Of course, this is an A320 and not an A321. However, the flight deck is identical, and most of the systems are exactly the same as well. This particular aircraft in the video had the older style mechanical ADI and the RMI. So I've turned those on using the settings in the tablet. So, now one thing to note as well is I think Fenix is actually simulating a more modern version of the Airbus, because the video that I saw had CRTs, we actually have the LCDs here, and also on the first officer's side, on our aircraft, the display has automatically switched. It's done the PFD-ND switch automatically. In the aircraft in the video, this had not happened. I'm wondering if that's a later feature that aircraft simply didn't have. So I'm going to leave it in this configuration. This is the configuration you actually see in the video. And as I said, flight director on the captain's side I will turn off, because in his aircraft it was not operating. Okay, so before we get the aircraft started up, let's get a very quick look at what we've got here. So auto flight. REAC WS detect fault. I don't even know, I guess that's wheel steering or something. I'm not 100% sure what that actually means. Let's clear that first error. Cabin pressure, systems 1 and 2 fault. Okay, that's not one that I had actually selected, so I'm suspecting that we actually have additional faults have occurred here. We go to the manual failures. I guess that's going to be under pressurization. Interesting. You can see the ones that I've enabled here. Yeah, here we go. Air. Is that an actual fault, or is that just because I have the door open? I think it's just because I have the door open. So I'm hoping that will actually clear. Let's clear that particular one. Brakes, alternate brake fault. That's not surprising. As you can see from the wheels page here, I don't have brakes on 1, 2, or 3. I only have brakes on number 4, and I also do not have auto brake. This is actually the thing that's the most concerning for me. Most of these other faults represent a reduction in redundancy, but they don't necessarily represent big problems on their own. But the brakes, I'm a little bit concerned about that. And here we go, we've got a whole bunch of in-op systems. Some of this is actually just because we haven't aligned the aircraft yet, so some of this will resolve itself as I go through the startup. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the random failures, and I'm actually going to set the failure rate to high, because I'm going to assume, you know, if we're trying to recreate this particular aircraft, I'm going to assume that it's already in a fairly poor state, and so the likelihood of having further failures is going to be higher than normal. And let's then jump to the initialization page, and I'm then going to go ahead and start the aircraft up. Okay, I'm going to go and continue with that just now, and we'll come back once I have the aircraft fully up and running, and I'll go through the condition of the aircraft before we take off. We'll then go and do a takeoff run with a rejected takeoff, because I think that's going to be very interesting. We're going to have to rely on the reverse thrust quite a bit. And then we'll continue with a flight from here, which is Edinburgh, down to London Heathrow. So, I'll see you all in just a moment. Okay, you join me back in the cockpit. We've successfully started the aircraft up, and of course we have a bunch of warnings that have come up here. I've got the status page warning showing up, and if I go ahead and open STS, we can see here in-op systems, we don't have autopilot 1, we have category 2, left tank pump 2, right tank pump 2, no auto brake, and we're using alternate braking system. And it's warning us that landing distance procedure we need to apply. So basically we need to expect that it will take us a lot longer to stop than normal. We've also lost predictive wind shear, it would seem. Also, I'm thinking the configuration check that the aircraft does before takeoff, of course, is going to fail because it wants me to have auto brake in maximum, but I can't. I don't have any auto brake as per the wheels page here, so I can imagine it's going to do a lot of bonging at me when I try to take off. But anyway, let's taxi to the active. We're going to take off runway 24, or at least we're going to try to take off runway 24 today, and let's see what happens. So we're going to give it just a little power, get the aircraft going, and yeah, we'll do the initial rejected takeoff as I said before, and then we'll actually do a real takeoff and try to carry out this flight. Just realised that I never erected my analog standby instrument there, and you can see we have other warning messages showing up here. Offside FM control. It's warning us that the captain's flight management computer is dead, and so it is basically telling us that although we have our captain's side CDU, it is in fact controlling the first officer's side computer, because we only have one computer today. So let's see if we can get away with this. Oh, also I'll hit the switch on the first officer's side here and actually have a PFD. The thing to remember is that we don't have a flight director on the captain's side, so although we have a PFD, we won't get steering bars here, and so all the steering will have to be done from the other side as well. So that's going to make all of this very exciting. Now let's set our initial altitude. We're just going to go straight to our cruising altitude today of 330. Yeah, I'm going to touch the brakes for the first time. What do they feel like? Not too bad. They still work, they're just not super effective. They're not pulling quite as much as I would have expected, given that I'm only braking on the right-hand side. But they do work, and we still have one of the anti-lock brake systems. So we shouldn't lock the wheels up hopefully, or at least not too much. But yeah, they are not massively effective, I have to say. When we do this RTO, we're going to have to use a loss of reverse thrust, I think. So let's get ready with the landing lights. Strobes to on. And let's enter the runway. Oh. I had a little bit of trouble with my nose wheel steering there. I don't know if it's lagging a little bit or something. So, let's get lined up here. Get nice and centered on the center line, and then let's have a go at this. Now, I've programmed the aircraft for a toga takeoff because we actually, given how bad our braking is going to be, we want to get up to speed as quickly as possible so that we have as much of the runway left as possible. So, takeoff config check. This is going to fail. Oh, actually it says takeoff config normal, despite the fact that we do have blue here. And then the predictive wind shear, can I actually get that to... Can I get that to work? No. No, that predictive wind shear is not working. It's dead. Oh wait, no, there we go. I just hadn't flipped the switch. Okay, that was me. Right, okay, so let's bring the power up. We'll go for 50% and hold it. Okay, both engines are stable. Let's go full toga and off the brakes. Oof, okay. Nose wheel steering is a little bit jittery, but we're okay. We're going to wait until we hit V1, and then we're going to do the rejected takeoff. I'm not very confident about this, I have to say. Okay, just before V1, power off, and full reverse thrust, and on the brakes. Okay, this is actually performing a lot better than I expected. 60 knots. Stow the reversers. And actually that was quite good, I have to say. As long as you still have reverse thrust on both engines and the ground spoilers working, that is actually doable, even here at Edinburgh. Edinburgh doesn't have a massively long runway. Okay. Colour me surprised. That actually wasn't so bad. And we've got the speed back under control. Let's exit the runway. And we'll make our way back to... Ooh, steering is not... Ooh, okay. Actually, I'm having a bit of trouble with the nose wheel steering. I had some trouble getting onto the runway in the first instance. I don't know what that's all about. But here we go. We've managed to... What the hell is going on? Let's get the aircraft stopped and then try that again. There we go. I've got control back. It was skidding for some reason. I don't really know why. Anyway, I'm going to get the aircraft set back up at the start of the runway, and we'll do the proper takeoff and we'll continue this flight. And I've increased the likelihood of failures, so just note that interesting stuff might happen. Well, here we go. Brakes hot. Delay takeoff for cooling. I don't think we actually... Do we have the brake fan on this one? Yeah, we've got the brake fan on this one. We'll run the brake fan on the way back. Anyway, I'll get set back up and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so that was all a little bit exciting. The brakes have actually... They peaked at 505 degrees Celsius. I guess that will happen when you only have one set of brakes. I'm running the fan just now, but it looks like it's going to take a bit of time for them to cool on. I have the Ecam message, brakes hot, delay takeoff for cool. I probably won't, because I don't particularly care. And the thing is, they're going to cool off quite a bit once we're airborne. I don't intend to reject my takeoff again. Let's actually just double check that I do have my failures set correctly. Random failures, yeah, we're going to switch this to high now, because we have to assume that this aircraft is not in particularly good condition. Okay, let's bring up my AOC messages just so I've got those available to me, and let's get ready for takeoff. Okay, I'm going to disengage the brake fan for now. I'm going to clear that Ecam message. Clear the status page. Parking brake can go off. I'm on the brakes, and this time we're going to go for the full takeoff, but we're doing it in toga again, because given the condition of this aircraft, we just want to get it in the air ASAP. So, Let's bring the engines up to 50% and check that they're stable. Oh wow, I'm not even holding on the brakes, they're slipping. Okay, off the toe brakes and maximum continuous. Okay, a little bit of forward pressure. 60 knots. 80 knots. 100 knots, releasing pressure. V1. Rotate. Okay, now I have to look to the first officer's side to actually see my control bars. Here we are. We're airborne, we're going to go gear up. Oh, okay. I'll pull it here. Obviously I haven't set the gear up control on my throttle there. Okay, up we come. Passing 1000. Okay, lever to climb now. Climb power set. Okay, I'm going to set autopilot 2 now. So that's the first officer's autopilot. Let's take a look at our Ecam messages here. Brakes hot, let's clear that message. Ground spoilers armed, let's disarm them. Seatbelt signs are on, landing lights are on. Okay, things look fairly normal, or at least as normal as we can expect them to be. Nose wheel landing light can come off now. And the rest of the panel can stay as it is. We're approaching slats speed now. I'm going to let it reach that, and then I'm going to retract the flaps. I had flaps 1 in for takeoff. And let's go flaps up. And we're continuing our climb. Let me clear the status page here as well. Okay, so we got airborne. Nothing bad has happened yet. Oh dear. Still have the hot warning. If we take a little look at the wheels page, let's see. Yeah. Wheels 4 is just under 400 degrees Celsius. Not surprising. But it will cool as we climb, of course. And it's pretty much plain sailing flight plan wise from here. Oh wow, that took a really long... Why is it hanging like that? Oh no. Okay, right, map not available. What the hell? Set offside range mode. Oh, okay, okay. So I can't... Oh, because I'm using the computer on the first officer's side, I have to use the first officer's controls. Do I have to match these? Oh my. I have to match these. Wow, this is something I didn't know about. I've actually never seen an FMGC fault like this simulated. That's really interesting. So I have to synchronize my range controls between left and right to actually get an image on this display. Madness. And yeah, you can see on the CDU on the left-hand side, FM1 fail. So that's how we know that we don't have the flight management system on this side. Cool, alrighty. Well, this is probably not very exciting for you guys to watch the entire flight, so I'm going to cut here, but if anything exciting happens, I will bring you back into the action. Failing that, I will bring you back for the landing, and we'll do a kind of review afterwards. So, hopefully see you very soon, and hopefully everything is okay. So, we're at top of climb just now, and probably around about halfway through the total flight. I just thought I'd bring you all back very quickly to take a little look at the view. The sunset is very pretty. Lighting in Microsoft Flight Simulator is quite good. There's the sun there out the side window. So far, no further failures. The aircraft is mostly behaving itself. We still have a warning about hot wheels. And of course, yeah, first officer would probably not be massively happy about the fact that he's down one display. And the captain probably not very happy that he doesn't have a flight director, but the aircraft is working. It's going to be interesting to see if anything else breaks. You know, we are operating with quite a degraded amount of redundancy right now, so if anything more breaks, we're actually going to start having fairly serious problems, but if the aircraft remains in this configuration, it's actually perfectly flyable. There's nothing particularly to worry about, apart from that landing distance, but luckily we're landing in Heathrow. Nice long runways should ensure that we don't have too much of a problem there. So, like I said, unless anything exciting happens, I'll rejoin you at the point of landing. So, see you then. Okay, you join me back in the descent towards London Heathrow. We're passing through flight level 140, and we're going to be making an approach to runway 27 left. We're going to try and make this as automated an approach as possible, but of course we only really have automation on the right hand side, on the FO's side today. Now, during the descent I had a further failure. I've lost ELAC 1, and that's the elevator and aileron computer number 1. Now luckily this is a completely redundant system. I still have ELAC 2, so I still have all my kind of primary fly-by-wire flight controls. So I'm going to clear that master caution, and yeah, flight controls, ELAC 1 fault. And I've got some actions that I should immediately accomplish. ELAC 1 off, and then on. If unsuccessful, leave it off. So I'm going to go to the overhead just now, and here we go. Flight controls, ELAC 1 off. Going to look back at the Ecam. There we go. We can see that that has powered it off. I'm going to try to power it back on, see if this is a fault that I can reset. Oh, and actually it did reset. That's pretty good. Fenix is really, really cool in that it does simulate resettable faults as well as permanent faults. So that one was actually fully resettable. I have ELAC 1 back. So if I go to the flight controls page, I can now see ELAC 1, ELAC 2 are both in the green. So that's good. That one wasn't so serious. That's really kind of like either a sensor fault or an actual software fault there, but it came back. So with that in mind, we're going to get ready to configure ourselves for landing. So, approach, Ecam status checked, approach type and runway, we're going to go 27 left. Minima, well, we're in clear weather, that's not really a big deal. Approach phase will activate when the time is right. And we have an altitude set now below flight level 100, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my, there we go, pull this and set my baro reference. It's 1017 just now. That's probably complaining that the two sides are not equal. Let's fix that. There we go, 1017 on the right hand side as well. So, continuing our approach, we're going to go landing lights on at this stage. And I've actually had the seatbelt sign on the whole time. You wouldn't actually do that in real life. But anyway, we're good to continue. Let's bring this range down on the display. And I'll display the landing system on the right hand side so it's ready. And I can see by looking at the right hand side, it is already tuned and we're getting a range to the runway. That's all good. So, once I'm a bit closer to the final turn there, I will engage the approach mode and start getting the aircraft configured. So, aircraft handling fairly well so far. Haven't had too many problems apart from that ELAC 1 fault, which is good. It's mostly behaving itself so far. And there we go, airfield in sight. That's Heathrow over there, glowing in the darkness. And weather looks not too bad. Actually, let's take a quick look at the... I already entered all of the arrival data. Next phase, approach. Here we go. 9 knot wind from 200 degrees. Not much of a crosswind, really. And we're going to do a full configuration landing. Oh, and what altitude should we be to intercept? 300. Sorry, 3000. Yep, that's good. That's already set. Approach. Okay, so we should be activating the approach phase any moment now. I'll just let the aircraft get down to the correct altitude first. Now, this is going to be interesting again with the lack of auto brake. We'll have to have a little look and see what that's like once I get down. Okay, I'm going to maintain this speed for now. And in fact, I'm going to pull speed now and manually control. So yeah, we're going to leave it at 220 for now. I'm going to go first. Actually, no, I won't go flaps yet. I'll go flaps just before the turn. Everything is still looking normal. I'm continuing to lose... Oh, okay, reset again. Okay, let's see if it's going to hold that airspeed on the way down. Ah. What's wrong? Why can I not set the airspeed? Oh, there we go. Right, yeah, I still had it in auto. There we go, 220. So I've got manual set. At this stage I'm going to go flaps 1. Oh, and immediately the status page pops up. It's reminding us that we don't have autopilot 1, we do not have category 3 dual, left tank pump 2 in op, right tank pump 2 in op, auto brake in op, alternate braking in op. Okay, that's confirmed. I'm happy with that. I'm going to continue. And at this stage I'm going to activate the approach phase. And I'll bring the speed down to 180. Just like that. And what's my final speed going to be? Today approach speed is going to be 145. Cool. Okay, let's have a little look on the right hand side. Now we don't have the ILS coming up just yet. I'll have localizer ready. It's kind of funny that I've got to monitor the right hand side here. I guess in real life you'd probably get the first officer to do this landing, but I'm going to stay in the captain's seat. And reading, what is that, about 9 miles? No, 8.5 miles to go. Okay, so approach phase is active, bar ref is set, landing checklist we auto brake, we do not have, missed approach altitude, I'll set that when the time comes, and Ecam memo, landing no blue. So here we are, we're coming around, let's see if we can capture the localizer. Okay, localizer is detected. Glide slope is coming in, so let's go for full approach mode. Okay, we're actually above the glide slope just now, I think. Let me just set it down a little bit. Let's see if we can capture the glide slope. I might have to take manual control if this is not going to work. This doesn't look like it's working. Okay, fair enough. Autopilot. Actually, I'll let it finish the turn first. We're going to go gear down. We're going to bring the speed back to 160. And we're going to go flaps 2. Okay, autopilot off. AP is off. Now, I'm going to have to monitor the other side. Oh, actually, while I'm waiting, let's... ground spoilers armed. let's get the altitude down. Let's try to maintain some kind of alignment here. Flaps 3. Oh, a bit of a... nose is coming down a bit. Here we go, and let's set final approach. And let's go fully configured. Okay, we need to come left. This is actually quite hard to do while monitoring the first officer's side. Okay, and we are fully configured. So gear is down, signs on, cabin ready, spoilers armed, flaps are full. I'm going to maintain auto throttle all the way down because that's going to make my life a bit easier. Going to need to dive towards the runway a little bit here, because we're quite high on the glide slope. Okay, let's start to level it out. Yeah, this is not easy. Okay, that's us. We're coming up on the glide slope now. We're basically aligned with the runway. Not looking too bad.
500.
Glide slope.
Okay, we're dangerously low. I'm actually going to continue to fly manually because trying to reference that first officer screen is actually giving me problems. So let's just do it by eye. Okay. If only you could see my hand on the side stick here. I'm having to make quite a lot of adjustments. But nice long runway. I don't think we'll have a problem. Hands on the throttle.
40, 30, 20, retard.
Okay, idle.
10.
Come on, get it down. Okay, we're on the ground. Maximum reverse. Oh, keep it on the runway. Keep it on the runway. Keep it on the runway. Ah, we're all over the shop. Wow, okay. Holy crap. 60 knots, coming out of reverse, on the brakes. I'm just going to stop it on the runway in this instance. Or at least I'm trying to. There's not a huge amount of braking, but I think we've got it. I think we've got it. Aircraft is stopped, and as you can see, we still had quite a bit of runway left. I think there's about a third of the runway still left there. And let's take a quick look at brake temperatures. They'd already cooled down again, but that's it. They're skyrocketing now. And I'm just going to pop it on the wheel brakes there. So there you go. That was not too bad. That was not too bad. All over the place once I got it on the runway. I don't know what the problem is. For some reason, nose wheel steering is really, really wild with these system failures. But as you can see, the aircraft is basically flyable in this configuration, just a little bit problematic. Something a little bit different. I hope that you all enjoyed that. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment. It's a really big help to me and to the channel. And I hope I'll see you all next time.